Hi everyone, Glenn here from mindovermenieres.com. I wanted to talk to you all today about finding the right doctor to treat you for Meniere's disease. It's one of the most important things you can do early on, and it's something that's very challenging for a lot of people. It's really hard to find the right doctor. The fact that Meniere's disease is so rare means that most doctors won't have very much experience treating it, if any at all. And even ear, nose, and throat doctors won't necessarily have very much experience. They may have heard of it, they may have even treated several cases, but the reality is that most ENTs won't have very much experience treating Meniere's disease, and that can be a big problem. So you need to see a specialist, and the kind of specialist you want to see is called a neurotologist. Now, there are ENT doctors who have gone on to subspecialize in treating balance and hearing disorders, neurological disorders of the inner ear. They will have way more experience treating Meniere's disease, diagnosing Meniere's disease, but also diagnosing and treating other vestibular disorders as well. So if you've been misdiagnosed or if you don't have a diagnosis yet, your best chance at getting treatment is to go to a neurotologist. So how do you find a neurotologist? Well, if you know someone else who's suffering with Meniere's disease and they can refer you to a good doctor, that's your best bet. But if not, you should use a doctor rating website. Now, doctor rating websites have sprung up all over the internet in the last couple of years, but my personal favorite is a website called HealthGrades, and you can find the link in the description below. HealthGrades allows you to search for specific types of doctors by location, and it will give you a rating score for each doctor based on anonymous patient feedback and surveys. It's a 5-star rating system, very similar to like what you'd find on Amazon. And it will show you the conditions they treat. It'll show you if they have any malpractice suits, any awards they've won, and also the insurance providers that they accept. So it's a very empowering website. I encourage you to take some time and go on HealthGrades and search for highly rated neurotologists in your area. Now, one problem you may run into, especially if you live in a more rural area, is that there may not be any neurotologists near where you live. And if that's the case, you still have some options. In that situation, your best bet is to seek out a highly rated ENT doctor in your area. So ENT doctors, some of them actually do have a lot of experience treating Meniere's disease. They're more rare, but they are out there. So if there are no neurotologists nearby, I would search for a highly rated ENT in your area, but also be open to the possibility that you may end up having to travel further than you had hoped to find the right doctor. So what do I mean by finding the right doctor? Well, experience is only one part of the equation. Your doctor's mindset is also really important. When I was first diagnosed, I went to a local ENT that was close to my house. I went out of convenience. And as I started to tell my story, I was just coming off of the worst vertigo attack I've ever had. And I started with the attack and I worked backwards. I explained all of the vertigo I'd been having over the last couple weeks, the dizziness, the ear pressure, how the ringing in my ears was so loud, and I was having this weird but like hearing loss some of the time. And he asked me some questions. He took a couple notes. And then he looked at me and he looked at me very sternly and in a very cold and emotionless voice. He said, "You have Meniere's disease." Now, most doctors won't jump straight to a diagnosis like that. It's definitely a red flag. And I did eventually end up having testing done later on to confirm the diagnosis. But at the time, I didn't know any better. He looked at me and he said, "There is no cure. We don't know what causes it. And every time you have a vertigo attack like you described to me, you're going to lose your hearing a little bit." He explained that I was going to have to change a lot of different things about my lifestyle, and I was going to have to do it very quickly. And I was terrified. So I did what I always do when I'm scared in that type of situation, and I started asking questions. I asked a million questions. I just wanted to understand. But my doctor, he didn't see it that way. He didn't see that I was on the verge of tears. He didn't see this terrified man in front of him. He just saw a difficult patient and thought I was questioning his intelligence. And he started yelling at me. It was a really traumatic experience. So he delivered this terrible news, and he just expected me to accept it at face value. and it was one of the lowest points of my entire life. I really, truly believed that my life was over, and I had no hope. I had no sense that I could possibly have a future that was worth living. Fortunately, several weeks later, I ended up seeing a neurologist at the University of Miami Hospital, and he was able to change everything for me. My second doctor was kind and compassionate and patient with me. He took the time to answer all my questions. He saw that I was afraid, and he gave me hope. He told me stories about some of his other patients who were doing well, how they were able to, some of them were able to manage their symptoms to various degrees. He gave me ideas for lifestyle management and different medications and supplements that I could try. He painted a picture of a world where I might be okay. And until that point, it wasn't even something that I had even considered. I didn't even know it was possible. And it changed everything for me. He gave me that. It also made me realize that your doctor's mindset is contagious. My first doctor left me feeling hopeless. How can you expect to believe that there is hope? How can you expect to improve if your doctor doesn't even give you a sign that it's possible? I want to stress the importance of finding not just a doctor who has some experience treating Meniere's disease, but one who's kind and compassionate and will take the time to answer your questions. When you really feel like your doctor is on your team, it can make all the difference in the world. So that's all for now. You can find all the links and different specialist types that I've mentioned in this video in the description below. I want to wish everyone a best of luck with finding the right doctor, and have a great day.